Good afternoon and evening if you're on the East Coast. This is the June 18th update on the tropics here. We have a couple of systems that we're going to be monitoring. The first system of which is Tropical Storm Dolores here in the Eastern Pacific. We're just going to briefly talk about this since it is doing more than our potential tropical cyclone is in the Gulf, but we'll get to that in a minute. So here we have Tropical Storm Dolores here spinning away in the Eastern Pacific off the coast of Mexico, and it is heading to the northwest and is on a crash course for the southwestern coast of Mexico, anywhere along this stretch of coast that I've outlined here. And this system is in quite a favorable environment for intensification here. You have, if we go to the water vapor loop, an upper level anticyclone that is over the system, providing flow that is very light over the thunderstorm activity, and you have a lot of outflow coming out of the system, which is supporting the ventilation of the thunderstorms that are over the main circulation. If we go back to the true color loop, you can kind of see there's a surface circulation here under this large thunderstorm complex, and it's gradually rotating around. Currently, the National Hurricane Center has this pinned at 45 miles per hour, and this will continue to gradually intensify, and maybe the intensification could pick up the pace here if it is able to develop an organized structure, because right now, if you look at the microwave imagery, this is the latest look at it, and you can see there's a band and then maybe a little bit of a curvature here, but there's nothing very organized. And so, unfortunately for the storm, this will likely take a while to really get going here. And even though the conditions are abundantly favorable, if we look at the sea surface temperatures in here, this is in some of the warmest sea surface temperatures in the basin right now, and it is still it is still going to take a while for this to really get organized due to the lack of a central structure here. And so this is definitely something that you need to be watching for in Mexico. This is going to make landfall tomorrow afternoon around this time, and maybe sooner too. But this is definitely something of concern here, as this is a very large system funneling a lot of moisture into Mexico, and primarily in Mexico, when you have systems like this, the main concern is flash flooding and heavy rainfall. And so if you're along this stretch of Mexico here in this general area, you do need to be watching for that, and maybe some winds. This could produce hurricane force gusts. There is a hurricane watch in effect for this stretch of coast, and just be safe and stay tuned to the National Weather Service, or the Mexico National Weather Service, for all the latest information regarding Dolores. And now, potential Tropical Cyclone 3. At this point, the genesis of the system is hilariously slow. We've had recon flying around in the system all day, and they have found a wind shift as apparent here on the visible satellite imagery. You have a elongated circulation. This is still too elongated to be designated as an actual tropical cyclone here, and the National Hurricane Center seems to think that way, as the 4 p.m. advisory for the National Hurricane Center indicated that this is still a potential tropical cyclone and is not Tropical Storm Claudette. At this point, designation is a formality because impacts are already being felt here along the northern Gulf Coast. It's a nice and sunny day in southwest Louisiana. Thankfully, they were spared of all the rainfall that you're seeing to the east of this region, and the coast between the southeastern part of Louisiana and the Delta region all the way into the western half of the Florida Panhandle is seeing a lot of rain right now. And this will continue to be the case, as we have been talking about for the past several days. This is, the impact time frame now. We have a lot of rainfall falling in this region, and will continue to be funneled in as this very long fetch of moisture is being funneled in here, and you're also dealing with coastal flooding along this part of the coast here, as it is on the east side. And as I mentioned, and as we have been mentioning for the past several days, this long fetch of southerly wind is coming out of the south and pushing a lot more water than what a normal 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm would be pushing due to the lopsided nature of the system. And so we will be dealing with this for the next couple of days here. All this moisture is going to be funneling in and gradually coming ashore here as this system kind of trudges northward. And it should be making landfall sometime late tonight. And it's unlikely that I'll be making a video tomorrow since this will already be ashore and we're already kind of in the impact time frame here. So whether or not this gets designated, as I mentioned earlier, is kind of just a formality. You're already dealing with 45-mile-per-hour winds. In this region, tropical storm force winds are already ashore in Louisiana and will eventually come ashore in Mississippi and Alabama here, as this system has a pretty large tropical storm force wind field, as you have at the approximate center of this is right here, and then you have all the tropical storm force wind on this side of the system. And so if you're in these regions, just turn around, don't drown. Be sure to refer to your local weather offices for any information, especially if there's flash flood warnings for your area. Be sure to read on the details of those flash flood warnings. And as always, stay safe and have a good evening, and thanks for watching.